entry, scene 4, is another one of Lear's storm scenes, and it's another one of the poor Tom scenes. And again, as I've mentioned before, if you're studying the play, they're hard scenes, difficult scenes. So the idea here is for me just to drill in, to help you by going and doing the shopping for you and pick out the bits you need, and we can leave everything else on the shelf. So this is the scene in which Lear is at poor Tom's hovel. And again, sorry, we're on page 39 of your paper 2 notebook. And this is the scene in which we see Lear, the real changes are happening, even in his madness. And real insights, moment of insights punctuate his madness as he is exposed to physical suffering and exposed to poor Tom especially. So again, your job is to read the summary that you can see in front of you. I'm going to go through the quotes in a moment. Just some of the things I've highlighted. It's set around that hovel, that kind of improvised kind of camp that poor Tom lives in. It's explored the idea of physical pain, exposure of physical pain, but how psychological pain that Lear, because this is a play about psychological pain, but the psychological pain that Lear experiences is worse than the physical pain he endures in the storm. It's a very important staging post in Lear's transformation, if you're doing that essay, because his exposure to poor Tom means that he becomes more aware that of the suffering of the poor and the vulnerable, and therefore more aware of the fact that as king, he failed in his duty to cater for, look after, use his power in the interests of those people. Tom, where we see he represents the nadir of humanity. See that word nadir there? Now, nadir means kind of the low point. Don't forget Edgar, when he said he was going to become poor Tom, he said he was going to take on the basest form that humanity has ever known. So like he's skeletal, he hasn't eaten. So the scene takes place a number of weeks after Edgar's escape from his father's death warrant. He's half starved. He's shivering in the cold. He's a clothed only in this loin cloth that covers his waist, and he is as low and as far from being a high and mighty king as you can get. But in this scene, Lear looks at Tom, and he sees himself. And it's one of those moments, he looks at Tom, and he sees a man who has nothing, and then he realizes that instead of being the great big king that the gods picked and everybody worships and admires, that vision of himself that his hubris crafted, he's just like Tom. And that is a massively important staging post on the journey of his transformation. And if you're writing an essay on Lear and the changes that occur in his character, this is a very important moment. So let's have a quick look at the key quotes from the scene. Lear observed that the tempest in my mind doth from my senses take all feeling else, save what beats there. Filial ingratitude. I love that. He's like furious. He's really angry because he just cannot forgive Goneril and Regan for what they've done. He says that the storm in my mind is worse than the physical storm. That's why if you look at the next quote, he says the tempest will not give me leave to ponder on things that would hurt me more. So like he almost welcomes the physical suffering because it's a distraction from the real pain, which is his psychological and emotional pain brought about by filial ingratitude, which means the ungrateful behaviour of his children. Of course, there's no sense that could be his fault, Goneril and Regan's actions. But anyway, the core of this scene, and it's unusual for a short scene like this to contain like such important key moments, key quotes, but these are 3 really, really, really important quotes. So I'd highly recommend you try and add them to your list. The first one, the exclamation even, I have taken too little care of this. Take physic pomp, expose thyself to feel what wretches feel. Wow. Shakespeare, hold on a second. Shakespeare, we love him. It's just a brilliant moment, and it explains why the plays are still relevant. They never lose their relevancy. Like you might not feel that, you might not see that, but they're about, first of all, the language is amazing. The plot lines can be really interesting, as you know, in this play, but it's those insights into the universal human story. Pomp, as you know, pomposity, It's a synonym of hubris, pride, arrogance, his vanity, his fatal flaw. And if you want to be cured of pomposity, Lear sees here, go out and look at the suffering of the wretched. Go out and look at the poor. Now, tell me that's not a message that's relevant in the world today, where we have, super, super, super rich people hoovering up all this wealth, living these, ridiculously disconnected lives. And then we have all these, teeming masses of people who have nothing. I think it's a message that's relevant today. But what I also really like, just in terms of the play, is Lear's recognition: I have taken too little care of this. He says it there. Look at the words. I have taken too little care of this. That's an admission that he has failed. That's an admission that he is fallible. That's an admission that he didn't use the God-given power of king to look after the vulnerable in society. And that's a moment of insight. And that's an important staging post in his journey towards humility, which is, of course, the opposite, the antonym of hubris. There's another lovely moment where he says, I deserve to suffer judicious punishment. See it there? 'Twas this flesh begot those pelican daughters. I never understood why pelican daughters. I'll get my time machine and go back and ask Shaky why he called them pelican daughters. But I suppose it means savage and animalistic. But look what he's saying. Judicious punishment means I deserve to suffer. And then when he says this flesh begot is the past tense of beget, and to beget means to father. So what he's saying is those kids come from me. I formed them. So I brought them into the world, and therefore I'm being punished because of them. So he wouldn't be the first parent that says he's being punished by his kids. But I think what he recognises there, and again it's a staging post, is that if they are cruel, they learned that from him. If they're abusing their power, they learned that from him. If they're not showing consideration for the vulnerable, they learned that from him. Again, would the Lear of Act 1 have ever had insights like that? His suffering is having a huge impact, even in his madness, on his view of the world. It is transformative and instructive. The final quote that I think really matters in this scene is unaccommodated man. When he looks at poor Tom, he sees a homeless man. Unaccommodated means homeless. But Lear here means not the physical building of a house. It means somebody without a home. A home is a place where you belong. And for Lear, that means a place where you have family who love you and who you love. And Lear hasn't got that anymore, because through his own actions, through his own folly, through his abuse, through his vanity, he's lost his family. So now he looks at Tom and he says, unaccommodated man is no more but such a poor bare forked animal as thou art. I'm just like you. Forked means starved. I'm just like you. I am. If you're the nadir of society, I am there as well. I've lost everything. And that again is a statement which brings a sense of, makes Lear much more sympathetic to the audience. He's really starting to gain insights into the reality of his situation. But also, besides that, it's just a great point you can make in terms of the role that Edgar plays in the play. Just interacting with Lear helps drive Lear's transformed perception of the world.